inside opposition and right-wing opposition replies with.
People like this is so naive. It's just messed up our mind. According to them, people are just so sweet. These universities are these really sweet people who are going to say, all right, history, jobs aren't there, so let's take care of these people. No, the incentive that they're going to have is, let me just cut down on their seats and tell these people to get lost, right? They're basing their case on the entire premise that these universities will now, according to us, and this is how meta is got, reconceptualize and restructure and re-alter history to make it some course that now makes you job applicable. That's dark, right? Tell us how that's going to happen, right? At no point do they tell us how they're altering the course of history, apart from saying reconceptualize and restructure and like alter the paradigms of God knows what darkness they want to sell over, right? But coming back to what this debate is going to happen, right? What's going to happen? The moment you alter the paradigm of education, right? From it being what is it right now? Right now, it accommodates both, right? It accommodates you going ahead and being this CV board, and it also accommodates you being a hipster, right? It allows for both. The paradigm they want to propagate is necessarily one where I need to be like CV board, right? I think the problems with that is it kills the individuality of individuals. That says, no, everyone has to do this, right? The idea is this. Right now, if I want to do debating because I improved my CV, I do it. Right now, what's going to happen is universities are going to make their curriculum that make these things mandatory and say that everyone has to become a good public speaker, like those jobs require you to be having good interpersonal skills, right? And that's the kind of darkness that their case propagates, that they don't come and engage with, right? The third thing, and this is how meta the case is. Money is still not a problem. We have abundance of it. We will fund research also. We will fund these people's education also. Understand this. How do universities get revenue, right? Universities get revenue from the fees that people pay. If you spend your time paying the fees that these people are paying, how are you going to further pay for the kind of education that you impart them? How are you going to pay for the further research grants that you're going to provide them? How are you going to research and this and accommodate all this that while reconceptualizing whatever darkness you want to sell, right? But coming back to the idea of this, right? We can't get it in this debate by saying that people now all courses are going to have the same amount of weightage, because understand this. From this supply side, and this is something that we just choose not to engage with. From this supply side, I will go ahead and hedge my risk in a way where I go ahead and prioritize those things from which I'm going to get a maximum return. I'm going to get a maximum return from STEM courses, not from archaeology, right? And this is their argument. But jobs are there in archaeology. Are you serious right now? Check the list of the top 100 richest people. How many of them are archaeologists, right? We think that the fees that they're talking about, and this is how retarded it is. Even if you get a job in archaeology, this kind of student fees that universities have is like millions of dollars. It's $300,000 for Harvard University, right? How are you going to get it from being like an archaeologist, right? If it's just to become a job, like make him become a sleeper also, and he won't get financial aid by that person. Tell us what we're selling in terms of what kind of job this person needs to get, right? We don't understand what we're selling. But coming down to finally what's the comparative in this debate, right? The comparative is how education should be, right? Should it be one that's holistic and accommodates both these things, or should it be one where you put a perverse incentive on the university telling them that, perverse incentive on the university telling them that you need to train these people in a way that they're best suited for a job, right? And job skills are extremely specific, right? And those skills are ones that you're going to force upon these people rather than accommodating the individuality of these individuals, rather than spending money on research. Why would you send this person on a research assignment when you can train him for something that is very, very specific? For example, you might want to research on a very abstract idea that's not the most like job-centric, but he will force you to something that has a clear, tangible return to him in terms of the CV perspective, right? Stuff they don't engage with, apart from saying we will reconceptualize knowledge, right? Tell us what that even means. They haven't told us through 3 speeches what this paradigm is, how this makes education better, apart from saying productive value, reconceptualization and productive value, we don't see the link, right? How are you making this fellow person, this super productive person that everybody wants to hire? Secondly, the most important question, liability. Why is this university liable? They didn't sell this person the false promise. The alternative that we suggested in analog was that if your problem is people are getting like manufacturing consent, then prevent those advertisements from coming in, prevent the K3 lending, prevent all those things, right? Why are you putting a burden on the university? Because we don't think that Harvard put a gun to this guy head and say, come get a job, right? He chose this off his own volition. He said, I'm not going to community college, I'm not going to Shivaji college, I will go to Harvard University. Why? Because I can take a student loan. That's the call that he took. Why should the supply side be affected? Why should seats be over? Reconceptualize.
Ladies and gentlemen, the problem that exists inside opposition is that they're just debating a motion that they want to debate. they come up here and argue about how courses need to be job oriented, right? And understand that's really not the debate, because understand jobs are already something that shape college life in essence, right? Job oriented is already something that all college courses are, right? Understand why all the examples of EY coming and taking in people and top 10 richest people not being history honors doesn't really stand, right? Because we're not talking about how much he earns after his job, we're talking about availability of jobs, something that we believe exists in both liberal arts as well as like eco and commerce that they're talking about, right? We believe job availability is there within these jobs, and there is some form of job etc. that exists, right? If that like only opposite to like an EY is a sweeper, we believe that's ridiculous, because when we talk to you about research analysts, we spoke to you about archaeologists, we spoke to you about university research programs, these are people that get paid for their job, which we believe is something that they choose to go into, and that's the kind of job they want to do. We don't see why that's really wrong, we don't see why they have a problem with that, right? So basically when they come up and really defend liberal arts courses, we tell you that liberal arts courses and taking up a job isn't something that really works in opposition, right? And that's exactly what we've been arguing right from stage one. The fact being that both of them actually happen together, right? The point being that right now when you go ahead and tell them that, okay, listen, just because you are doing this, you need to go ahead and take the job. We're not telling them that. These are people who are coming and sitting for your placements and then wanting to get a job, right? You're not creating this mindset of you wanting to take a job. We believe that's a mindset that's already existed among students, irrespective of what course they're coming from, right? Now getting to what this debate initially was about, something that they failed to acknowledge. This debate was about whether once an individual takes up a loan, the university has any role to play or any responsibility when I don't get a job, something that I was under the false promise of getting, right? Understand this. When we spoke to you about why the university is responsible, something that they've really not engaged with us on, we spoke to you about the kind of propaganda that universities spread when they come out and tell you through various means, right? Come to our university, we are the best. And understand what is it that they're telling you? They're telling you that X% of people got all the jobs, X% of people got all like 98%. They don't tell you about the people below that, right? So when I as a student am looking at this university, that's the only picture of the university that I am open to, right? I don't know what really happens behind it. I don't know the kind of hardships that I have to face as an average student within that university, right? We believe this is the kind of mindset of a student from the outside of the picture when he doesn't know what he's really getting into, right? And at this point when they come up and tell you, oh, he could have taken any other university, it's really not that easy, right? Because I'm at a point where everyone around me is telling me, hey, what university are you going to? I'm going to this. We believe that price tag of the university is something that pressurizes an individual student a lot more, right? We believe that's the kind of pressure that is constantly pushed towards, which pushes him to take into go and take admission within this university without really rationalizing the pros and cons of whether or not later on he'll be able to pay out his student debt and whether or not later on he'll be able to get a job, right? These are calls that a student simply cannot take pre-facto. Now we look at post-facto. Once he gets admission into that college, we've told you throughout, right, how simply because of the fact that he's taken a loan, this is something that's always going to be a burden on his head, right? The fact that he'll not be able to focus on the kind of education that you're giving out to him simply because he's always going to be thinking about paying back that debt, right? The moment you take away that burden or like partially take away that burden from the student, what you're doing is you're making his college life much more easier for him because he can actually focus on his studies and then talk about all these ideas that they're talking about, right? All these ideas that they want to propagate are basically something that we're great with because we believe these ideas are basically going to be applied into the jobs that they go out and take up, right? We told you about how jobs or any application of any pure form of liberal arts is basically job oriented, right? We told you there's nothing known as like random dialogue of ideas because even for that I write a research paper and get paid for it. We've shown you how that sort of job is something that always exists. We believe it's really, really naive for them to come out and argue about how there are jobs simply inexistent for liberal arts courses. We believe that's ridiculous. If they had to win this debate, what they had to show you is how no link exists between the university and the student who went into the university with the hope that the university gave him that hey, you'll get a job, hey, you'll be able to pay off your debt, so hey, maybe you should take the loan because right now you need to just look at entering into that university, right? They need to show you about how the university has no role to play, and with that, we're in